So that's what I want to say today. DJ Rankin, you are beloved.
I love to see you so much.
You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. You guys are beloved. Thank you for being here. Have you had lunch? Yeah! Now your blood sugar is just going to plummet. I can't see your eyes because of the lights, and you're going to zonk out. Power it up. Yeah, start drinking it. Okay, I want to start this section inviting you guys to do what I call a po-fo. Anyone know what a po-fo means? A po-fo is a positive focus. So we're going to start with a po-fo. And make sure it stays P, po-fo. Just saying. A po-fo is a positive focus. So you're going to turn to the person next to you and you're going to share something positive that's happening in your world or that's happening. And you're going to just each do an exchange of a po-fo. Will you do that? Okay, start there. Ready, go. Po-fo.
So exciting. So exciting.
Let somebody else share their positive focus. Okay. Are you feeling po-fo'd? Frank's going to find somebody who's willing to share with this mic. He's going to go out there. Can we keep the house lights up for a second? Who's willing to share their po-fo?
I got a hat over here.
You got a hat? All right. Now, the goal is not to be forever. We love you. Network marketers are not afraid to talk. Okay, tell us your name, where you're from, and your po-fo.
My name is Nora Busio, and I come from Tucson, Arizona, and I'm director of 700.
Awesome. And what was your positive focus?
Still working in ASEA and help people all over the world.
Love it. Okay, let's give her a round of applause. Who else wants to share their profile? Over here. Go ahead and stand up. Is my mic too loud for you guys? It feels really loud. It's okay. Okay, tell us your name.
I am Dawn Maroney, and I just discovered ASEA 3 weeks ago. I'm all in. I'm crazy, grateful, and my po-fo is Dr. Kaufman, and my upline, Judy, and I'm ready to see the facility yesterday. I mean, this is an amazing company, and
Cool.
I'm so glad to find it.
Hey, thank you for that. That's got me feeling so good. How about two more, Frank? You good? Frank gets to choose. Your call, Frank.
Right here. I can't walk very far, so.
My name's Rebecca. I'm from Ohio. And mine is my daughter. She's 14. She's a freshman in high school. This happens to be her first homecoming week, so we have her first dance on Saturday that Dad is taking care of. But she completely understood why I needed to be here this weekend, and so I love the beautiful young woman that she's becoming.
Aww.
Okay, we're going to do something right now. Hold on, Frank. Hold on. Did you say your name is Rebecca? Okay, turn up the house lights as high as we can get it. Pull out your cell phone. And we're going to wish your daughter a happy homecoming. And you can send her this video. Is that cool? Okay, why don't you come up here on the stage with me? Come on. She said it's Rebecca from what part of Ohio? Cincinnati. Okay, I went to high school in Dayton, Centerville. You know where Centerville is? You're right here. Okay, stand right there in the middle. You're going to do a selfie video. Tell us your daughter's name. Her name is Noelle. Okay, so you and I are going to wish her a happy homecoming. You're going to tell her whatever else you feel, probably that she is beloved. And then you can film all these people, and you guys, when I count to 3, are going to say happy homecoming. What's your name again? You guys got that? Yeah. Okay, let's do this. Okay. However.
Hey sis, I have Tyler here with me.
Hi, Noelle.
He's in our videos.
You are so nice to let her come to this meeting when you were student. You're going to go to homecoming. Dad, don't blow it. Don't blow it, Dad. Okay, now we're going to spin here, and we have a whole group of people here. Okay, now keep on in. So turn your phone, and I'll count through 1, 2, 3. Paul, you're a good man. Thanks for letting Rebecca from Ohio come. Thanks so much. One more photo. Is someone just burning up with desire to do a photo?
My hope is to this young lady, 2 weeks in, new associate on our team, Julie from Minnesota, and I said, I am blessed to have wonderful, positive people entering my life each and every day.
Love that. Okay, so challenge number 1. Start your discussions with POFO. Build people up. Didn't that feel good to do that with Rebecca and Noelle? Just feels good, right? We're in this stuffy meeting and we're all supposed to be all professional. What are you talking about? That's our first homecoming. Let's do a video for Noelle, right? Yeah. Now guess what? Noelle's got a POFO. What's the punchline on the POFO? The punchline on the POFO is when you give positive focus to other people, it's got a life of its own and keeps going, okay? So I learned this from, I did some consulting work for a good-sized software company, and I would go into their meetings, and they would go, okay, let's POFO. And they would start the meeting with a POFO. I was like, what's a POFO? It sounds like a swear word, like. So I know it's a POFO. And I was like, okay, that's good, that makes me feel better. And then they would just go around the room. You know, it was just like, we're having our second grandchild, or my family's all coming to the lake house, right? Or these beautiful things. And we would all start the meeting like just feeling pretty good. So I wanted to start with a POFO. Now it's also supposed to help offset the high caloric meal that you just had. Which is of some concern. And I am no stranger, DJ, to the high caloric meal. But it does require a POFO to get out of the hole sometimes. Now, one more thing, I got to do this. I just felt we needed to do this, and I'll speak to why a little later. Let's bring the house lights up one more time. Now you have, let's go maybe 2 minutes tops, gratitude. POFO can be gratitude, but and I want you to just list 3 things that you're grateful for, and I want you to share it with someone right next to you. Can you do that for me? 2 minutes, go. Share gratitude for
3 grandbabies, Brooke, Eden, and Iris. 7, 5, and 4. No. Nebraska. Central Idaho, yeah. I'm blessed. That's all I need. This is kind of a bittersweet, but, you know, I'm blessed. I don't know. I'm hoping Thanksgiving. Their mother is my daughter, my only child. My son died. She's my only child, and she's kind of mad at me right now. She needs to see her. I spent 10 years trying to set her up. She heard the stories. wanted it out, but I got one of them anyway.
Are you grateful?
Yes, and yours.
I would be grateful if you would stop being grateful pretty soon. Just as soon as you quit being grateful, I will be so grateful. Now,
Yeah, next year though, big bump.
thank you, by the way, guys. Thank you. What a joy it is to express positive feelings and gratitude with each other. We're not going to share it in the interest of time, but hopefully you feel good. We had a little accident that just happened here in the back of the room. And I believe her name is it Gab? Babs Fleischer. And if you're a praying person, or if you're not, maybe if you're not, you can just kind of bow your head and wish well. But she had a pretty bad fall here just a minute ago, and I think it would be wise for us just to take literally just a couple seconds and throw up a thought in her favor. She's been taken to the hospital, and they just told me that she hit her head pretty hard, tripped in the back here. So would you do that for me? That'll be my POFO and my gratitude. Let's just take one little brief interlude of time and let her know that she's in our thoughts and our prayers.
Today was her 77th birthday.
Even more so. Maybe we need to shoot a video for her too. Let's take a moment of silence for her. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you. Okay. Who's wearing a diamond? Stand up if you've got a diamond somewhere on your body. Just stand up. This is not some socioeconomic game. Okay, can all of you people donate to the Advanced Death Foundation? I'm just messing with you. Okay, how many of you, if you're wearing a diamond, I want you to look at the diamond if you can. It's probably just in your ears, don't pull it out of your ear. If it's on your finger, or maybe it's a necklace, maybe share it with the person next to you. And those of you not wearing a diamond, this is not a test. I have a question for all of you in the room, those that are or are not. How old and how long did it take? Look at the diamond. Look at it. How long, and Scott can't answer this, I know Scott's here. He can't answer this because he's like a rock guy, dream guy. How long did it take to make that? Okay, let's hear some guesses. Shoot them out. 150 million. 550 million, okay. Let's throw up my slides here, and I'm gonna start with an image. I heard 150 million, I heard 5, this is like The Price is Right. By the way, if you haven't gotten it, you're welcome to sit. Don't look on your phone, don't cheat, don't go AI on me. This is just a moment, this is not like... How old are those? How about this?
Wow. 3.3 billion.
Does that fact kind of get in your head a little bit like, whoa? This gemstone, this mineral, is 1 billion years old. On average, 1 to 3.3 billion years old. Okay, how are they created? Pressure, time,
Heat.
Okay. So in pressure, in time, and heat. Next question, where are they created?
Underground.
How far down in the earth? Any guesses? Deep. That's a very specific answer. Very nice. They're really deep. And they're really old. I'll take it. Keep it simple, right? They're 150 kilometers underground. They're there by the pressure. Now, where's Hunter? Is that you back there, Hunter? Get Hunter a microphone because he's our resident chemical engineer. Can we get Hunter? You don't. Well, You don't have to come up here, but I'm going to be calling on you all day. So just clip that microphone on your hip. Let's get you a microphone. But here's the deal. Heat, pressure, because they're really low. What did we say? Heat, pressure, power. That's a good one. Okay, how does it happen? Help me out here. What else is this?
Right kind of rock.
Okay, you say carbon? Oh, not yet, not yet. Jeez, Pete, that's just, you're jumping in the end. Okay, carbon, under pressure, under time. In fact, I'll give you an example if you can put my slide back up here. These are raw diamonds. This is kind of what they look like. They clearly have to be polished and shaped. And there's a real process to this. But maybe I can give you this example. If I took the Eiffel Tower and I turned it upside down, and then I put the very tip of it on the stand, that's the amount of pressure required over time and then temperature to take those carbon atoms and push them together in this form. And I find it fascinating that this can occur. Now here's my next question. If that happens 150 kilometers beneath the ground, how do they get to where we can actually even discover them? This is like really impressive. I know something about geology. You know what it is? It's a volcano. They're carried from the bottom of the mantle all the way up through the Earth's crust in what they call a pipe. And it can be a kimberlite pipe or another stone. And they come up through the ground really hot. And guess what? They have to come up really fast. I'm talking like inside of an hour. Boom, they're coming up. And then around the world, they will spend a 10-year period of time just trying to find a kimberlite pipe, and maybe as much as 10 to 15 years to determine if that area is economically viable. So if I gave you one word to say about diamonds, pick one word. Rare. What else? Precious. Love that one.
Hard.
What's that? Multifaceted, Nance. That's awesome.
Very hard.
Oh, here's another one. Hard or resilient? Tenacious. Okay, I'm ready for another gratitude moment. Thank you. Those are all great things. Yeah, they're beloved. These things are unique. They're resilient. They're rare. They don't come out shiny, right? They don't start there. But they're super, super unique. A single element, carbon in this case, that under pressure, heat, and time has been pushed so hard together that it forms this crystal. And then over time, that crystal is brought to the surface of the earth. And people spend a lot of money trying to find them. They then are taken in their raw form. They use computer design to identify the best cut based on the raw diamond to maximize the stone. Now, this is a diamond pin. What were the words you just said about diamonds? Precious. Rare. Resilient. Let's use resilient instead of hard. Let's be a little bit diplomatic here. That's interesting. Beloved. Yeah. Unique. Do they happen without any effort? Okay, so I just want to draw attention to the great symbol of a diamond rank in this company. I think these gemstones represent something really important. And rarely do I get a chance to lead a recognition section of these events, but I want to take some time and talk about the diamond ranks in this company. Because we don't have a company without the diamond leadership that's in this room and around the world. And you are precious, and you are rare. And those that are coming up the ranks look to you. They need you. You shine bright for them. So these symbols are important to me, and I sometimes think we trivialize a little bit. Any rank achieved in this company requires enormous effort. It requires vision and commitment, for sure resilience, and staying in the game under pressure, and not giving up. And maybe if the volcano happens to grab us, maybe there's some elements of luck there, at least in surfacing. But Stacy, I heard you say earlier today that, what was the name of your donkey or mule? Ader, as in mater? Can you spell it for me? Oh, you both spelled it wrong. Teddy, what's the name of the mule? Ader. Like potato? Help me out. A-D-E-R. No. A-D-A-R. Okay, I was going to say, that's Southern Pennsylvania. I love what you said about Ader. You're running around looking for a unicorn, but what did you say about Ader? Workhorse. Steady. Probably a little grumpy with you, Teddy, from time to time. I'm going to guess you had some words with Ader. True or false? And I love that you mentioned your daughter Morgan and that you're needing a sea of mood to get through her 19th year. I was like, is everybody hearing that? Like, she's needing mood. Ader probably needed mood to get through Teddy. That's true? And Ader needed redox energy. My point is this. I love that metaphor that we find people and we work with them and we develop them. And I think there are diamonds in this room that in very short order from now, maybe you've made a commitment in your heart and mind that you're going to be a diamond in this company. I hope you have you. Has anyone who's that? Some of you walk up to me at events like last night and say, I want to take a picture with you. I'm going to be a diamond in this company. Well, first thing I want to tell you is you already are a diamond.
That's right.
You don't need to arrive there. It's got to just come from inside that you're already there. One of my favorite things about my dad, he never differentiated how he treated people by rank. And I think that's a good lesson for all of us. There's a difference to saying I'm going to be a diamond and saying I'm a diamond. And I just want to encourage you, when the pressure comes or it feels lonely or deep in the earth and you're by yourself, you're right where you need to be. And just stay in the game. Don't overthink it. And you'll be able to do this over time. Now, notice these ranks, right? I want to make sure everyone's clear how this works, because I sometimes think it can get a little slippery when you hear these ranks. Let's start with single diamond, double diamond, and triple diamond, right? Those live at the base of our diamond rank structures. And each one is an enormous accomplishment moving from one to the next. Now, what are the next ranks called? Ambassador what?
Diamond.
Here you go. Ambassador, you'll notice on this pin, there's now a colored diamond. What can you tell me about colored diamonds? Where's my sister? Way more precious, just like you, Nancy. You are so precious. I love you. Nancy is like, you've never seen, she calls herself Fancy Nancy. You've never seen more jewelry on a human being. She can take out like 6 layers of clothing and you're going to find more jewelry somewhere. My point with Nancy is that she understands that a colored gemstone, like in this case a yellow diamond, is even more rare. And let me suggest to you, ambassadors are even more rare. Now, when I say the word ambassador, what do you think? Leader, regal, I like that one. Representative of what? People. How about if I'm an ambassador to another country, who appoints me? The president, at least in the United States. It's a presidential appointee. I am now an ambassador, and what am I to do? What do you think? Service? What do?
Speak on behalf of
I represent the host nation to multiple nations around the world. I mentor. I may be involved in negotiation. I may be involved in helping trade and commerce. So I want you to process this. An ambassador diamond, double diamond, or triple diamond are the next layers in our rank structure. Now, I appreciate, and boy can I tell you, these are mountains to climb when people reach these places. And they do this by turning their attention to other people. It's so interesting to me that inherent in these advancements and in the rarity of them is an increased awareness of and attention to the success of others. And not just one leg of success, as you know. It's an interesting principle that perhaps you become more brilliant. Maybe you have more clarity. Maybe you shine brighter. Maybe you reflect light more beautifully as you pay more attention to the success and uplift of others. Sometimes we miss the point on symbols. Symbols have a surplus of meaning. You with me? Symbols can be left for you to interpret. Make no mistake about it, our rank structure is symbolic, and it invites you to ponder for just a minute what it means. Let me suggest one other concept when I say that symbols have a surplus of meaning. What if I were to tell you that the very symbol of light shining through and from, in a refractory way, one of these gemstones, what if that's a function of and a symbol of the light within you? What if I told you that the light within you in my personal belief structure is a function of your attention on others? If I took a light bulb that was a 30-watt light bulb, and I put it right here without a lampshade, and next to it I put a 100-watt light bulb, would you be able to tell the higher wattage light bulb at a glance? And if the 100-watt was then juxtaposed with a 1,000-watt light bulb, what that tells me is light is discernible. I can see light. You ever met someone and they just have a countenance of light? I met a friend again last night that I met at lunch or dinner, and forgive me, whose name escapes me, in Texas. I told her at dinner that her light and countenance shone off of her face. And when I saw her last night, I couldn't remember her name. I know she's here. But I remembered her countenance. And I told her that. And she said to me, that's what she said to me when we had dinner. Are you here? No. Where are you? Tell me your name again. Terry. Terry, is that a true story, what I just said? Terry, you have a light. Thank you for standing up and for letting me share this. Can you give me a light? Light is discernible. I could see light in Terry. I could see goodness. What if these symbols are actually reflections of what's inside of you? What if you let yourself rest in that concept? I think it's worth considering, because what I can say is none of these ranks that hold these precious, rare stones have gotten to this place of appropriate and deserved and earned recognition without incredible transfer of light and power. And the great secret to life is to diminish self in service of others by way of sacrifice. If you're willing to do inconvenient things that are in their very nature a sacrifice, that means you're willing to process, and this is not about me, a freshman whose mom isn't here for homecoming. Now, Rebecca, true or false, you're here in support of Donalyn, is that right? And is it true that you probably had a conversation with Paul because Donalyn, just a couple weeks ago, lost her sweet husband? And Donalyn, we cannot believe that you're here right now. We love you. Can you see what's happening? So Rebecca goes to sit back down next to Donalyn, and I'm starting to fill in the blanks. I'm like, I got it. Rebecca looks at her husband and says, Paul, I'm going to be there to support Donalyn. I got news for you. In that moment, that is a sacrifice in service of another person. In the moment, Paul is saying, I'm not the best at helping a young woman get ready for homecoming. Therein lies another sacrifice in service of another. And we are going to all pray that Noelle looks wonderful tonight, and that her father has had nothing to do with her hair or makeup. Another sacrifice. Now what happens? She comes on a trip to be with a person in support of her. And she's here, returning home shortly to prepare herself to honor the life of her husband. But felt the need to be here as a signal to you of her love for you and for Sia and for this family. If the sacrifice for another person comes in the very moment that you happen to be hurting, I got news for you. The light intake goes up. If you have the character, and there are some that say that character cannot be developed in human being in absentia of sacrifice, we all have to be willing to do something inconvenient and in service of another to build the character from within that represents the light that these pins symbolize. And if this feels a little too philosophical or Sunday school for you, I've got news for you. I'm telling you the truth. And your social media feed is not. If you were to process the beautiful message you've already heard today in the context of this, and realize that each one of the stories spoke of sacrifice, spoke of teaching and lifting other people, whether it's Frank asking you what your purpose is and the divine orientation of why you may be here, and certainly the divine orientation as to how these unique products make their way to my very singular dad. If there is, call it what you will, some of you have heard me say before that the definition of influence, I've always wondered why is influence also like a really bad virus, influenza? Ever thought about that? Like, why do we call the flu the flu? Why is it tied to a viral infection? And at the same time you say, Jerry, you've had awesome influence on me. Were you getting the flu? It's a fair question. Am I right? It's a good question. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for affirming my question. You're a POFO. You are one bad POFO. Think about it this way. In the moment, in the 1500s, the word influenza was defined as streaming ethereal power from the stars, when in their proper alignment, that then acts upon the character or destiny of a man or a woman. I'm going to say it again. Influence in the 1500s was defined as streaming ethereal power from the stars when they are in their proper alignment that then acts upon the character or destiny of a man or a woman. Say I'm neighbors with Frank. We have another neighbor next door to us, say Scott. No offense to Scott, this is just an example. Scott gets the flu and dies, heaven forbid. Frank doesn't. I walk to Frank and go, hey, where's Scott? What happened to Scott? You don't know the first thing about pathogens or viruses in the 1500s, but he's gone, and I'm still here. And maybe the neighbor looks and says, influenza. Something in his destiny is linked from the stars all the way down. Influence is an interesting thing. Somewhere, several hundred years ago, we stopped giving credit to the stars alone. And guess who became the star? You. And me. What if I told you that Debbie Robinson has offered to me streaming ethereal power the moment I was aligned with her in a common interest and goal that has acted upon the character or destiny of my life? Think about that. So what happens is you become the star, and by the way, you might want to ask yourself, what does it look like to be in alignment that I might be able to offer influence to others? That's a very interesting question. If you're, as Terry was saying, spending all this time in social media, maybe you're not putting yourself in the alignment to maximize your influence on others. And if you'll think about where am I in my alignment journey, I would suggest to you that it will almost reveal itself to you. Because any time you meditate, ponder, consider, prioritize any other person's benefit, there is an attentive, divine direction. It is real. And if you'll actually place your attention on the lifting and loving of another person, you will find it to be the essence of influence, the streaming ethereal power from Denny and Tom, when aligned with me, offering me their hearts, their friendship, their commitment. Doesn't look like this without people like you. It just doesn't. And yet, now you're lifting others, and then you have this beautiful paradox that you become the diamond. You become the light. It's not just reflecting off of you, you become the star. It's all symbolic, and I think it's very true. Now, when I say presidential, you'll note presidential also has two colored diamonds. These are now blue diamonds, Nancy. And those are the three pins. Boy, would I love to tell you the effort and the impact and the influence that's embodied in these ranks. They become a symbol of the lifting and loving and impacting of thousands and thousands of people around the globe. And that inasmuch as an ambassador is appointed by who?
President.
Who appoints the ambassador?
President.
The president. You'll note that the highest rank structure we have is presidential. Now, what do you notice in yellow here on this slide? have we ever left that beautiful, rare, and precious symbol? We haven't. We want you to understand that your growth and development, right? The diamond you already are within. You now have an opportunity to envision yourself. And I will give you the great secret, Miss Stacy. The great secret is the degree with which your all-consuming occupation becomes the lifting of other people and the reduction of suffering in this world. You will begin this journey. And as you climb these rank structures, we love to keep score with money and tax returns. I get it. But I promise you this. The things that we will think about on our deathbed or in those really, really pensive moments will not be tax returns. They will be people. They will be stories with real people. And if you subscribe to the notion, as I do, that which we earn from our labors is nowhere near as important as that which we become by them, then you will understand what I'm trying to teach. And if you're tempted to treat these rank advancements lightly, maybe you're just sitting on your fanny when they come up to the stage and no big deal, I want to challenge that. Because the rank is a symbolic surplus of meaning of what's happening inside of the person. Now, is that the case one-to-one? Maybe not. But I submit to you, if you're trying to pay attention to the ethos and culture that Scott talked about today, and where you are in your journey, it will actually become the basis for the way you grow and develop. And if there's any truth to the notion of believe, belong, and become, in a way, I just tried to show you how a compensation and rank structure actually in some strange way parallels your own belonging and becoming. So, I would like to, at this point, recognize the individuals in each of these ranks that are here. We have plenty around the world that are not here. And maybe with the context of the rarity, the preciousness, the 3 billion year metaphor of what it takes to become this, would you join me in soberly, joyfully, but like with a certain measure of almost reverence, honor these people for what they're doing? Would you be willing to do that with me? Yes. Now I'm going to need DJ Rankin because I got these people in I'm talking they are in a hole. Like I got pizza and whatever they had for lunch, so you're going to offset the low blood pressure I've created, okay? And we're going to invite to the stage now all of those that are diamonds that are here in this room. DJ, would you tell us who those people are?
Absolutely.
Okay, question.
That was good.
You get one word for what that feels like. One word. Wow, good. What is it? Keep coming. You want to hear my one word?
Family.
Did you hear that this morning a lot? I just want to draw attention to the fact that those of you here, my dad used to always say to me, we're not building a company, we're building a family. And he meant that. And we're coming up on 15 years. Guys, if your 70-year-old dad wants to start a saltwater company at age 70, I'm going to tell you right now, I promise you this, if we had offered this opportunity as an investment to all of you, I believe you to be rational enough to not invest in it. Who would have thought? Who could have possibly imagined, aside from my good dad, that this would go to 34 countries, soon to be more, that it would create a cultural movement of its own kind? You know, I just feel very, very grateful for all of you for being part of our family. Now, how many many of you go to your Thanksgiving extended family gathering with a little bit of trepidation? How many of you have a member of your family that's a little bit different? How many of you are honest enough to admit that you might be the person in the family that's just a little bit different? The older I get, the more I realize the joy of family and also the challenge with it. See, I believe we are each other's sandpaper. I believe that when things get frictiony, and I can assure you this, that group of people on this stage just a minute ago, we got some sandpaper going on to make it 15 years. And the fact that we can still have the potential of a Thanksgiving dinner is a pretty big deal. Now, how do you do that?
Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron. That feels hard, right? But it's true.
Forgiveness.
That's exactly right, Denny. Denny said the one thing that keeps a family together. Forgiveness and love. That's the only way. I got news for you. You ready? Each of you will hurt someone else's feelings, and especially in your family. And each of you will have your feelings hurt, especially in your family. And if you subscribe to the idea that we are each other's sandpaper, then what it teaches you, Miss Redox Mood, with your 19-year-old, is she's going to teach you something about you. And I have become more and more convinced that when the family has issues, by the way, I think we're doing okay, but I do want you to know that this is just part of it. You can't go 15 years as a company and not arm wrestle over some things. Right? Are you with me? Now, I will tell you a couple of telltale signs of a healthy organization. One, really shiny mirrors. Meaning you're willing to look and see yourself, this is true in your families as well, that you're willing to slow down and ask yourself questions like, how might I be part of the problem? And you might be surprised if you ponder and meditate on that. I was touched today when Terry mentioned something I had trained that he went home and did with his kids. I wrote to my wife one time, I feel most loved by my husband when. I put an ellipsis, 3 dots. I put 1, 2, and 3. Her answer surprised me, still does, when I am not doing this alone. Now, some of you might think because you see me as some magnanimous ethos, like Jedi Knight or something, that I have this marriage that is just unbelievably harmonious. But I gotta tell you, we're each other's sandpaper, we're no different. And over the years I've traveled over 2 million miles on a Delta flight. That doesn't count other airlines. So when you do that math, I'm not really proud of that. I got a plaque in the mail from Delta that had 2 million miles. I gave it away to this boy in my neighborhood who loves Delta. I called him up, he loves airplanes, he works for Delta. I said, I have a gift for you. I should have put the picture up. He came to the house, he was so excited. I said, you are now proxy for my 2 million miles. His dad and mom called me and said, you just made this boy's day. And I said, Delta just took my last 20 years, so I'm glad I made it one day. Families are tricky, aren't they? I think they're worth fighting for. And I think if you'll give some thought to the principles I'm trying to share, which incidentally we have been teaching from this stage and stages like this around the world, I think you'll see that I hope that we will give thought to what relationships mean. And that we'll sense and feel. Have you noticed when those that were recognized had a chance to speak, which they did beautifully, they talked about a family. They talked about relationships. And I want to talk about that for the last few minutes I have with you. Here is an updated image of my tribe.
Nice.
And I started talking on these stages with you guys with some of these grown men and boys that are reproducing. And these were little kids when I started talking about ethos. We didn't have Redot's mood. And Stacy, I'm going to tell you right now, some of these were kind of like Ader. I couldn't get them to work, right? But boy, do I love my family. I love my wife, who is so true and so good, so unassuming, so not interested in limelight, not interested in attention. In fact, my wife is the greatest example I know of doing good in silence. She will put as much effort into not letting you know the good she's done as to the good she does. It matters to her that it's done for the right reasons, and she has devoted herself to me and to raising 6 kids in a way that is something I truly is very sacred and thankful for. We have 5 boys and 1 little girl who married this boy in the white shirt there that I thought was the devil for a while. Sandpaper. But there's some special things happening in my family. This is my little Henry. This is my 5-year-old grandson. Joe has been divorced, raising Henry on his own. And look at this little cutie that just came into his life. And they're getting married next week. So that's Joe and Brittany. And little Brittany was prayed into his life, I can tell you that. And she is a gem. And they live up towards Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And Joe is a fly fishing guide in the summer on the Snake River. And Brittany comes up and she's a river rafting guide. So their first date was on the river. And you don't want to mess with Brittany. Like, she's tough. And despite the fact that Joseph has that little boy, she has jumped right in. And she's all in on him and on her family. And these pictures, this is a bridal picture for just Sunday that we're just thrilled about. Now, this is my little Rory, and she is a cute pumpkin. This little girl owns her grandpa's heart, and we look at little animals together, and she always comes over and asks me to pull something up on my iPad and my iPhone. I took her to go feed the goats the other day, and she's really good at the goats when it's just on the phone, but when she gets close to them, she is grumpy. And so I didn't think that was my best moment. Now, would you just take a look at these 2 girls hold their bellies?
Yeah.
They don't need to go to the bathroom. Well, maybe they do, but But guess what that represents?
More babies.
Aside from a host of things that we don't need to go past on, those represent 2 more grandkids, and may I suggest to you, 2 boys to be born within a week of each other. That's right. That's posterity. And they're awesome. That's Caleb and his wife Emily on this side. Jacob is my oldest. His daughter Rory and Grace. And these 2 boys married next to Joe and Henry and my little grandson is my daughter Ellie, and next to her is Beelzebub. The fact is, his name is Spencer, and I was really mean to him. He was the enemy. And now I love him. He is so kind to her. He's the most steady dude you've ever met in your life. And in fact, my wife was worried. She said right before they got married, she said, has he ever belly laughed in your presence? And I said, I don't know. I don't think so. She's like, she cannot marry him until we see him belly laugh. So I started doing the craziest stuff, trying to get him to laugh. But he's just even keel. He'll work himself to death. My daughter is like a roller coaster. She is like an emotional blender to that. And she calls him with everything, and the drama's big. And by the way, if she was here, she would be angry. Here's my sister. Nancy, don't say a word. Nancy, my little Ellie is Nancy. Ellie is my little girl, so Nancy, my sister, was fancy Nancy to the one girl. So my Ellie, Nancy would come over the house, bouncing off the walls, fancy Nancy jewelry, and Ellie just looked at her and thought, she is what I want to be. And maybe they are. You're both kind of dramatic. She and Spencer are doing great. This is my Noah. This is kind of tender. Next to me is my James. Back up and I'll just... This is James next to me. He's 14. He's wearing like a chain. He's a little like silver chain. Like he's just all about that right now. Like, he walks around the house and he's trying to be DJ Rancan. He's trying to be you. So we need to work something out. Like maybe we can hire you. There's your chain. I appreciate you pulling it out. You're rocking it, but like I don't know. Like he's 14 and it's just too much. But he is a great basketball player, great kid. My Noah is this gentleman right here, and this is pretty tender for me right now. Noah, as some of you know, that I serve a mission, and we're a religious family. Noah's in Guatemala right now, and he's doing church service there for our church. And this is kind of special for me because 35 years ago, I did a service mission to Guatemala. Now these are 2 years ago. These aren't for the faint of heart. You go and you're all in. I get to talk to him once a week. And I've been just really soft-hearted thinking about the experiences he's having. He's up in the mountains. And I went back and I found this picture of me when I was there. Yeah, you laughing at the hair? What are you laughing at? Yeah, look at that, Barney. Is it Barney here? Sorry. My round John Denver glasses. And that little girl, her name is Yahut. She had a twin sister. And every day she would come to the door of my little kind of rented room that we had there. This is a very famous town in Guatemala called Palma. It's on Lake Atitlán, if you've ever been there. And this little girl never went to school, and she would sell fruit and peanuts. And every day she would come, and every day I would buy. I just couldn't say no to her. Neat story, it's a true story actually. I went back, probably 5 years after I got home, mid-90s, walking down that same street. And I called her Chulita, which means little cute one. And I saw this older girl staring at me, and she whispered under her breath, Chulita. And then I saw her, I said, Chulita. And she ran across the street, gave me a hug. And that's a true story. I'm not cooking that up for an awe. Thank you. Very nice. So if I go back a slide, you can imagine when I see something like that, 35 years ago. The kids in this area just own my heart. In fact, little Yahut, I would make soup every Tuesday with a group of volunteers from all over the world. It was a really cool experience. And she'd come in and I'd make sure her bowl was filled. She was just so awesome. So family, isn't family important? Can I just challenge you to do something? If you're grumpy with your family, and you know who you are, if you're just grumpy, if you're grumpy with me as Sia or us as Sia, if you're grumpy with your family, can I just challenge you to let go, get over it, love and forgive, invest your effort, invest energy in something. Maybe looking in the mirror a little more often and seeing what you're doing that might be part of the problem. And consider what it looks like and feels like to just keep working at a family. And I sure meet a lot of people that are struggling with that, and I think it's way more important than a lot of the corporate stuff we spend on. Will you do that? Yes. Okay, so here's a question for you. It does link to families. Here's the question. And Hunter, where's Hunter? Bless your heart, I told you to get a mic and I hadn't even tapped in yet. You are an amazing man. Wow. Let's fire up that mic. Hunter, I have a question. What is the element or atom in both diamond and graphite? Can you answer that question for us? Carbon. So, question. Both diamonds and graphite are made from the same element. True or false? True. Would you please explain to this group why a diamond is so incredibly rare, incredibly strong, incredibly resilient when it's made from the same exact element as graphite that can break apart? Talk to us.
Yeah, the graphite on the right and the diamond on the left are both made of a structure of carbon atoms. The difference is the crystalline lattice and the organization of those atoms.
So easy now.
Slow down.
Lattice, crystalline. Okay, just slow it down. Bring it back to me.
The structure, the organization of the carbon atoms is what gives the unique physical attributes of diamond compared to graphite. When we talk about how these structures are made, it has to do with the external forces on those compounds. Diamond is exposed to pressure and extreme temperature over huge periods of time. And what happens is within that structure, the carbon atoms begin to move to respond to that pressure and temperature in order to minimize the energy between those bonds. There is a principle in thermodynamics called entropy. This is the concept that all matter in the universe looks to minimize its energy. This conformation you see there in a diamond, that structure, minimizes the stress and energy that those carbon atoms feel under that extreme temperature and pressure over time.
Thank you. Now, question. Give him a round of applause. That's like Hunter, we will be hearing from you tomorrow, and you're going to be foreshadowing some really cool things. We're very, very grateful to have your leadership on this team. Stay with me for a minute, Hunter. I may have another question here. This has been fascinating to me to stare at this. I wanted the recognition of our diamond ranks all the way from single diamond to presidential triple diamond. I just wanted to give you some metaphor and some symbol to kind of think about. The idea that becoming a diamond in this company is a character development journey. And it's light. And there's so many beautiful principles and human virtues that you can sink to this metaphor of a diamond. But I found it fascinating to see that a simple, really two changes, Hunter, this is what I was thinking. both are made from the exact same element. So really, like, what's the difference? And aside from what we talked about with heat and whatnot, this is kind of what came to my mind. The bonds, and Hunter, would you agree with that? The bonds are different. And then you can see the structure. I think it's interesting when I think of each of the points on the atom structure, and I consider your teams, and I think about the structure of your teams, but they also depend on the strength of the bond. Now I'm going to impress you, the tetrahedral structure, you with me? Don't even start with me, man. I got this. Tetrahedral sounds like another name for my son-in-law. Sorry, Spencer, if he's doing this, Spencer, I love you. I was just scared. This is tetrahedral. What is this one? Octagonal? Flat?
Octagonal planar.
Like I said, planar. Here's what's interesting, guys. I just want to invite you to consider the structure and the bonds in the relationships that you have. At your home and family, and the people with the people you love. Ask yourself, are you building graphite structure and bonds that can break apart? Or are you paying attention to what really strong bonds and structure can look like? Years ago, I gave an ethos talk I was waxing philosophical, which I do a lot. But I failed chemistry, Hunter. I hated chemistry. It's just too abstract and esoteric for me. You're not abstract, but it's tricky. Talk to us about this really quickly. Don't go too deep now. But tell us what you're seeing here.
The periodic table is an effort to organize all of the different types of matter in the universe. And it organizes it by a series of specific characteristics. You organize it by what's called periods. These are columns in the periodic table. And that dictates how each of these elements react with one another and the relationship that they have and their ability to form bonds between each other is dictated by where they are in the periodic table.
Boom. Drop the mic. Okay, hold on. So in the conversation that I had a few years back, even before Hunter was here with us, I was trying to make the point that periodic table and the bonds that are created across those elements over time, what you just referred to, Hunter, as relationships, are kind of at the core, at the very essence of what we are as a company. For example, if you were to take, really simply, hydrogen and oxygen, and sodium and chlorine, and Hunter, when you take people on a tour, true or false question, you're dealing with those elements, those from the periodic table all the time. Speak to what you see on the screen here for a minute.
Yeah, so hydrogen, oxygen, sodium, and chlorine off of the periodic table combine to make salt and water. Those bonds form very specific structures. Left, water, right, sodium chloride is a crystal. You can combine those two and bonds will reform if you introduce the correct energy into the system.
He's riffing that. You with me?
Yep.
Did anybody hear
No.
Hunter, you're showing off, man. Great job. Now, without these elements, we don't have a product to speak about, which has truly brought us together. Without the technology, patents, and process whereby we break apart bonds and then re-establish bonds of different kind, molecular structures of a different kind, imbued with energy that then can be supplemented into the body. By energy, I don't mean stimulant, right? So this is pretty instructive when you think about chemical elements are the basic blocks of matter. And then I started thinking about human elements, people. And the thought came, you know what? This is the human building blocks of what matters. So, Hunter, when a person with vision, let's say you set it on a periodic table, it's organized based on properties that also help us understand how connections are made. True or false? True. You see that? I'm killing it. Hunter, what happens when people that have characteristics like vision and drive, passion, communication, empathy? See, this is what I mean when I say the basic building blocks of what matters. How many of you have been touched by the gift of someone else's human elements in your life? A teacher who was so good at telling you you were good, that you've never forgotten. Kindness, by the way, has a long shelf life. We remember when someone has been kind to us. So think of the periodic table. Think of human elements as similar. And I guess what I just hoped I could share as I wrap up here today is the idea that structure, teams, and bonds, coupled with human elements like kindness, charisma, drive, vision, empathy, all these awesome elements that people have. As you go out to build your teams, give some thought to how you're building stronger bonds inside the structure of the teams that you have. I might suggest that if some of the bonds are weak, invest in them to a point, and then if they're taking energy